Welcome to Defenders Live. I'm your host, Lora Thorson. Gabby Franco is a Venezuelan born Olympian competitive shooter who proudly became an American citizen in the early 2000s. She's also a mental performance coach, a firearms instructor, and an author whose journey spans continents, competitions, and life changing transformation. She began shooting at age 11. She went on to win international medals, including Pan American silver and 3 South American golds, and she became the first female shooter from Venezuela to compete at the Olympic Games in Sydney. Since retiring from Olympic style competition, Gabby has dedicated her life to helping others elevate both their technical skills and their performance mindset. She's the author of Troubleshooting Mastering Your Pistol Marksmanship, and she holds degrees in psychology and sports performance psychology, and she travels the country coaching shooters of all levels on how to train the body and the mind under pressure. Tonight, we'll explore how elite mindset strategies translate into everyday resilience. We'll learn what her experiences in Venezuela teach us about freedom and responsibility. And we'll also learn what you can take away right now to become a more confident, capable protector in your own life. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed, whether you're watching on Rumble or YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you find this show. If you don't want to miss another episode, head to defenders-live.com and become a free subscriber. That way, every new episode gets delivered straight to your inbox. And if you're looking for top-tier firearms and self-defense training, go to defenders-usa.com and check the calendar to see what's coming to your area this year. We were just talking, it's been 3 years. Can you believe it?
I do not.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I do not. I was like thinking, what was the last thing that we talked?
Mhm,
Last time we talked and what we talked about, and I couldn't
mhm.
recall, but now it makes sense. 3 years
Yeah,
ago, incredible.
it was mostly about mental performance, but what has changed in your life over those last 3 years?
Easy and it's interesting. At that time, I was probably doing my master's. I'm sorry, my bachelor's in psychology, or just graduated from psychology, one of the other. So
Mhm,
I was already thinking about mental performance and apply psychology into shooting.
mhm.
And between that time that we talked and now, I decided to go for my master's in sports and performance psychology because I figured, it was an perfect degree for what I do, but
Mhm.
also the flexibility for me to work in any capacity and in any states, move around like I normally do. Because
Yeah.
I could have others, degrees in psychology, you need a license, like a
Oh.
counselor or something like that. You need a license per state. But as
Mhm.
a having my master's in sports and performance psychology, I do not.
Hmm.
So I can work, yeah, I can work in not only in sports, I can work corporate, and obviously I'm applying this my degree and my knowledge into shooting sports. So it was just perfect. So yeah, a lot has happened since.
That's really awesome. And have you noticed some doors opening for you that you didn't expect maybe? We talked about
Yes.
law enforcement earlier.
Yes, well, I just graduated in December. I'm also working
Mm.
towards my certification. I do want a specific certification. Let's say it's the gold standards in my field, in
Yeah.
this field, psychology, which is become a CMPC, which
Mm.
means Certified Mental Performance Consultant. I have to do 400 hours of
Wow.
consulting with people. Mentor is a mentored 400 hours. So I'm already at 260, 200, almost 270. So
You're just going for it. I mean, talk about going
yeah,
for the gold. You just go for the gold in everything you do, don't you? Wow.
why not? Like,
Why
why
not?
not? There are many other things I could do, maybe on my phone scrolling or doing other stuff, but I just enjoyed it. So, I just graduated in December, and recently have been talking to some law enforcement agencies, some people, because I would like to apply this knowledge in sports and performance psychology in shooting, but specifically law enforcement. We know that law enforcement agencies, they have the struggle, or I would say the police officers mostly struggle with, well, qualifications, and all that stuff, the training. They're not
Mhm.
necessarily training as much, motivation is low in that sense. So the
Mhm.
beauty about sports psychology is that we don't go into the depression or those clinical names and words that
Um,
makes everybody edgy. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah.
And so, in my degree, it's all about elevate
I
people.
love
You
that.
know, let me see your strength. Let's work on this and help you exceed
Yeah.
your strengths and all
Mhm.
that stuff.
This seems like a really good fit for you, Gabby. I mean, you always had an interest in psychology or in I know that you've been in performance sports your entire life.
Right.
Anything that you learned or that surprised you when you got your degree or as you were learning all of this? So you're like, wow, I wish I would have known that 10 years ago.
Well, this is the ironic thing. When I did my bachelor's in psychology, I actually studied it in marketing because
Oh,
marketing, I thought, okay, I'm a firearms instructor. I'm in this business. I'm going to do marketing. And I was doing great. And I took one class, only one, psychology. It was learning theories. I'll never forget it. It was learning theories. And it was an advanced course. And
uh-huh.
because I was part of the honors program at the university, they let me take it because I had to do a previous, like I had to do under like another class before that one. So, anyways,
Oh,
they
yeah.
let me take this one,
Uh-huh.
and I was hooked. And
Mm.
what happened was that it kind of reconnected everything in the sense that I knew concepts, not concepts with names, but general
Yeah.
concepts from my life in Olympic shooting, with working with sports psychologists, with my coaches, and a lot of things. Kind of, I was like, man, I didn't know you that was the name for that. I didn't
Yeah.
know that was the name for that. So it was wonderful to, in my case, having the practical like the experience part of
Yeah.
it, and then
Yeah.
putting names on all those things. And besides putting name, now in sports psychology is like apply it. Because,
Yeah.
some people, when you see online a lot, it's like, you just fun, push through.
Yeah.
Be mentally tough,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
Motivation is fine.
Yeah.
But that's not how us really, our brain really works to make the leap, to really push forward the way we're supposed to, because there are we have our own experiences, we have our lens on how we see the world, and
Mhm.
until we describe we you let's say my clients, they realize how they see the world,
Mm.
that's when the aha moment comes.
So it's awareness based as well then.
Yes,
Ah.
yes, for
Hmm.
sure. And
We're
so
gonna
my job is helping them get there, helping
mm.
them awaken, if you will. And not necessarily, it's not like they are hidden or anything like that, but it's just could be some little tweaks, you know,
Yeah.
that can make a huge change. For example, I was a guest firearms instructor. I was in a more like a support capacity. There was a lead firearms instructor in Pennsylvania, and then I was just supporting this firearms instructor. And so
Mhm.
there was one police officer. He was shooting, everybody was shooting, but he was a little bit all over the place. And everybody, these big men, they were all instructors because it was an instructors class. They would come, they would ask me, "Hey, Gabby, can you help me here?" And it was fine, but he did not. And I was
Mm.
wondering, maybe he felt like he didn't know me, or something. And I don't, when I get those attitudes that that are just physical, right? I haven't talked to the guy. I don't know what's going on. I
Mhm.
just let time work, get
Mhm.
him to know me. Well, long story short, after lunch, He comes to me and he's like, I need to talk to you. But he pushed me back like out off the line, way like
Yeah.
in the corner. He said,
Yeah.
I have carpal tunnel.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay. And why do you think that is that affecting your shooting? He says, definitely. I'm like, okay. And why is that? He's like, well, because it's my support hand. I cannot grip my gun tight enough. And so my shots are all over the place. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let me ask you something. I said, I grab his hands, right? And I'm like, he's probably, almost
Yeah, you're
six
not
foot
very
or something.
tall.
No, anybody can be taller than me, and I'm petite on top of it. So I grab his arms and I press. And I said, "This is as much as I can grip the pistol." And so I asked him to grab my arms, and I said, "I want you to press. Like what is your strength? I want to feel what's the strength. What is your hand strength or your grip?" And he pressed, and I was like, "Is that it?" And he said, "No, I just don't want to hurt you." I'm like, "No, go ahead." And he kept pressing. And then I asked him, "Do you think that your grip is weaker than mine?" And he said, "No." And I'm like, "You see, you're fine. You'll be fine." And
Mm.
from there, he wasn't finished. So sometimes, yes, because now he
Wow.
was not putting focus on the carpal tunnel. He believed he could do it.
Hmm.
He realized the issue was not that. So now he put the attention on the things that matter. Because if you put it's like you put your focus like this, you know what I
Right.
mean? You're just
Yeah.
paying attention to that thing here instead of looking forward, the things that matter. And so just little things like that. Sometimes people are like, oh, trigger press and the side alignment and the dot. Of course, all that matters. But there are instances or I would say many instances, instructors either for time, they don't have the time, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they have a line of a lot of shooters and they don't have the time to dedicate
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
love that time. I was
Yeah.
behind the scene. I
Yeah.
could talk to each one of them. And it's difficult for many instructors to really see okay, let's dig a little bit more and see
Mm-hmm.
behind the scene what
Mm-hmm.
else could be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a part of psychology that I love.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
tell.
I
I love it.
really like that, and see people like light up, like, whoa, I didn't even think about that. I
Yeah,
didn't see
so
it that way.
it seems like part of your job is really just figuring out what's in the way. What's in the
Well,
way of
not me,
somebody. No? Or
no
you're
me,
helping them figure it out.
no.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, you're asking the right
yes,
question. Yeah.
right. Because if I just tell them is this, but they
Mhm.
don't believe it, it doesn't matter. I can tell them
You're
the
right.
loader numbers, right?
Mhm.
They think that they're not gonna win, they're not gonna buy.
You're totally right about that. That is one of the secret sauces, I think, of an excellent instructor um, is letting people discover for themselves
Yeah.
what it is that they need to do in order to get better. Because I remember as an early student thinking that the instructor had all the answers, and I became so dependent on the coach or the instructor that when they weren't around, I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
think for myself or diagnose for myself
Right.
or figure anything out. And then I realized later, actually, the best coaches, you don't need them around once they're gone, because they've planted this seed in you to be able to learn and figure this stuff out on your own, because we know ourselves better than anyone else. Truly we
Right.
do. But sometimes we're just not quite looking at it right or thinking about it right. And you're right, it can really, 30
And
seconds of the right experience can be life changing.
still it's not an easy job either. You know what I mean? Sometimes I say it even as a mental performance coach. Sometimes you're like, but I can tell you right now what I see. You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean? And I
right.
sometimes I made that mistake, say, hey, I have
Hmm.
happened with some of my clients that I say, well, maybe you should try this.
Mhm.
and they think that it's so outside of the box
Mhm.
that they don't try. They argue, and so I stop. Right, in my mind, it's like, okay, they're not ready, or and sure enough, 6 months later, so I want to try that
Yeah.
because it has to be a point where they need to realize that it doesn't matter, that
Right.
trying something different, it may be different than everybody, but what it is to lose and more to gain,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's a sweet spot. And coming from as a firearms instructor, I think that has been my biggest struggle, because in
Mhm.
firearms instructor, what do? Look at your front sight. We don't
Right.
say, well, figure it out. Most
Mhm.
instructors say, I wouldn't say that, but most instructors what I hear say, hey, you're anticipating,
Mhm.
or press the trigger like this. We're very directional on what to do.
Mhm.
Um, so this is completely kind of flip. So
Mhm.
to me, this has been like an also learning curve, trying
Right.
to easy my instructing mentality
Mhm.
into the coaching, like helping you get there
Right.
mentality.
It's so
But
much more
it's a
fulfilling,
wonderful.
I think, as a coach and as a student. I see that to be so much more fulfilling and long lasting, I think, um, rather than just saying words that people might not quite understand, um, what how I describe looking at a front sight or the way that I feel a gun might be completely different for someone else. And the words I use to describe that might not land with particular people, and they might not quite understand what it is I'm saying. So, there should be approaches that are beyond just a one-way approach, in communication with people. So I think what you're doing is really needed in this space. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad to see your heart for it. That's what I'm most excited about, Gabby, above everything else. I can just really tell you're excited about it. And yeah.
I am for very several reasons. One, because I love it, I really do. But the
Yeah.
other part of it is just I think there's a need for firearms instructors to branch out from just pew pew and
Yeah.
seek different knowledge that can help them improve, their students.
Mhm.
Whether it's law, it doesn't have to be psychology, could it be
Mhm.
law? Why
Mhm.
don't you do a course in law? Why don't you do, you know sometimes when I hear people and, oh, you're a firearms instructor, no, we can be even beyond that. We can be
Definitely.
more, in other, in a different level. So,
Right.
and to me, I guess also I have a different, no perspective, but I would say, my background, is rare that you would have, for instance, sports psychology consultant or a sports psychologist who has also became an Olympian and was a high performer. And then you have the
Mhm.
flip. You have a lot of Olympians and have a lot of, who can talk about motivation and mindset, but they lack the academic and
Mhm.
applicable and applied and research and study the psychology behind it. So,
You're one of a kind.
very, so I'm excited just because, being in this realm in the farms industry, is different for most people in general. We
Mhm.
are a small percentage in the industry, especially women.
Mhm.
And I think that's why we have to prepare ourselves our best
We
to
have a
serve.
growing segment of the population of new women
Oh
gun
yeah.
owners. Like it's a huge segment that's growing rapidly. So I think the need is definitely there, for sure.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm excited about that. Okay, let me switch
Yeah,
gears really quick
me
because
too.
I was going to start with this, but then we went down this rabbit hole, and that's cool. I'm really excited about it, and
I know.
I have more questions about that too. But
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, the reason that I reached out to you originally was because of
Hmm.
current events, because of what went on in Venezuela.
Oh yeah.
And I think I reached out to you like the day after Maduro was captured because you were the first person I thought of. And
You
but
and many
Oh,
hundreds
really?
of others.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I got
So,
messages from LinkedIn, from Facebook, from everywhere.
wow.
Like people that even text, people I haven't talked in years from the farms industry. They said the
Oh,
first person I thought was you. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Well, because obviously you have a perspective that not many people have. And that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you is like, what is it that Americans might not understand about that situation that they need to understand? And also, I think there are probably some learning lessons here too that I would love for you to talk about, or whatever else it is that you think is important for people to know.
This is like there will be a never ending question, part two, part three. I mean, answer part two, part three, hours upon hours of
Mhm.
discussions and days. So, I think one of the main things I would say too, that is the one I have seen a lot until I stopped watching all of it, what people were criticizing. One, this needed to happen. And I
Mm,
am 100% sure that, I would say 100%, but I would say 99% sure that this administration was going to be the only one who could have done or pulled this off.
mm,
Okay, taking Maduro out. People thought that it's going to be chaotic in World War III, but the reality is that Venezuela was the hub. Venezuela was like a port for China, for
right.
Russia, for Iran, and this is not just because the Trump administration says it. No, all Venezuelans know that. This is
Um,
no, all Venezuelans outside and inside Venezuela know that. And not only that, Cubans came to Venezuela when Hugo Chavez came into power, like way before. They literally imported a
mm,
lot of Cubans, professionals, professors, doctors. They displaced Venezuelans, professionals and doctors,
wow.
and they went to the like say the barrios, which is the low income areas,
Hmm.
but mostly were just indoctrinating a lot of people because they were not there to say anything else than Cuba. We're here because of Cuba. It was just propaganda, most of
Mm,
it. And so that was, and I'm talking about the early 2000, 2002, 2003. Okay.
okay. Mm,
Cubans were already there. And so that was something that everybody knew that was happening in Venezuela. He was giving oil to Nicaragua. Uh, when Ecuador, thankfully, went past that socialist and they had a different government recently, which is good, but they were giving money to them. Cuba, we were like just giving them oil and money for nothing. They were not giving anything to the Venezuelan people. And
mm,
so Venezuela was turning into this place where everybody was soaking everything out of it, the soul of the
mhm,
Venezuela,
mhm.
but the Venezuelans were just suffering
Right.
tremendously. Yeah, I was there before and during the regime, okay? And Venezuela was not is not what Venezuela was not what most people know today.
Mm,
Okay, so that's the first thing. It needed to happen. Venezuela had already gone almost 20, oh my goodness, almost 30 years. Almost 30 years because Hugo Chavez took power in 1998.
mm,
So we're talking about 28 years on this situation. Okay. And so
mhm,
it was going to turn even worse. And why it matters, like I say, because the connections with China, Russia, and Iran. And they were really, really getting a lot of nasty stuff here through Venezuela into the
right.
United States. And
Mhm,
that's known by
right.
everybody. Okay.
Mhm,
So the second thing I would say for those who argue, oh, but the Americans are going to take the oil. Trump just wants the oil. Well, Americans had been in Venezuela way before Hugo Chavez. We're talking the
mhm,
60s, 70s, and even before that, because of oil industry. They created infrastructure that made Venezuela what it was, like the boom and the place to go during that time, where a lot of people immigrated. Venezuela was as diverse or more than the United States. Not right now because everybody left.
Yeah.
But so no, every Venezuelan say, well, I would say every Venezuelan, I should take that back. I would say most Venezuelans with common sense says, yes, you know, of course we want Americans who can work, let's say, work the industry and help us get out of this hole. And this is my personal opinion. I see it like a business transaction. And you have to see it like that, right? If I have a business, right, I'm gonna call Venezuela and you want to invest, I'm gonna give you some, stuff. I'm gonna give you some, how you call it, stake in the market, or I'm gonna give you some percentage in the business, right? And that's how we work together. This is no different. I wouldn't expect the United States to come and do all the infrastructure, help us build this infrastructure that's going to help the country, it's going to help the people, and they're not going to get anything out of it. No, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
So now it's going to take time.
Yeah.
People know that. And for those who say, well, but Maduro left, but they left the rest of the regime, Delcy Rodriguez and all these thoughts, for not to say another word. I actually think that was the smart decision, because Venezuela's opposition, most of the leaders of the opposition, if they were not in Venezuela in a prison as a political prisoner, they were outside the country. Okay.
Oh.
And so, you have a regime that is like a cancer. It's mixed up in everything. They know who is who, they know who handles what. And so you need to have the head and make sure that the head moves those puppets. Okay. A new opposition who comes from the blue and you put it in there, they don't know who they need to talk to. They don't know who handles what and how to communicate with these individuals. So it's actually, for many Venezuelans, to watch Delcy Rodriguez, which is the current president in Venezuela, talk. It's hilarious. For us, it's hilarious because she now is like, before she would say, the United States, we're gonna get you this and that, and you are this and that. And now she's like, yes, Mr. Trump, we're working with you and everything is fine. Of course, what happened is that Trump has the leash very short.
Yeah.
And have things in control. So I think it was a smart decision to do that. And now, obviously, we don't know the future. What would be the ideal scenario in my mind is that slowly by surely, there start getting changes in the country,
which would
and
be
take these people out.
rebuilding the infrastructure like they did when Venezuela was successful, and just making sure that it's not corrupt, which sounds easy, but
yes. Yes, and that's why I think it was smart to do it early in the presidency, because then we still have 3 more years. 3 more years where they have to demonstrate before they get kicked out.
Here's what I have to say, though.
Start running.
Whether you think it's right or wrong, the efficiency and the plan that was executed that night was unparalleled. I mean,
oh yeah,
like the stuff movies are made out of, like crazy. I can't wait to read the books, about the operation, because it was remarkable by any standard, by anybody who, whether you agree with it or not. Like, Unbelievable.
Well,
Can you?
even way before that, if you think about it, having the the military boats near the
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Venezuela,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Lead up.
and in the saying, we're not gonna let any boat go out,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's this is a planning that took X amount of
Mm-hmm.
months. For instance,
Yeah.
not only that, but Maria Corina Machado, the one who had the Nobel Prize,
Yeah.
that day that she went to get the Nobel Prize, she escaped Venezuela after a year and a half, I think, that she was in hiding.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was and it was just literally like that because all the raiders were off or something like that. But that
Oh,
was something that also needs to go in the books, how they took her from Venezuela under the noses of the
wow.
regime. Well, the regime was still
Active.
technically active, and everybody was there. Maduro was there, and they
Wow.
took her from Venezuela. It was a huge operation too. You
Huh.
should. I need to find you some articles and send them to you because it's very interesting.
Wow.
How they took her from Venezuela after a year. I think she was in a hiding like a year and a half or something.
We are living in some of the most interesting times that I can ever recall. I mean, it's wild, isn't it, Gabby? The world we're living in right now. Depending on perspective or filters, which you talked about earlier, right? The frame of mind we're in, the way the way we see the world, the filters we filter all information through, and everything all affects, how we
I
view
think
what's
I
going on.
think right, but I think there is the element of social media and the media in general that amplifies that. Okay,
Oh, yeah, no
um,
doubt. No doubt.
amplifies that tremendously.
Mhm.
And on top of that, before we had just the news anchor who would give us the opinion and would
Mhm.
tell us, this is what happened, this is the truth, and this is what it is. Nowadays, you have millions,
Right.
millions of people speaking at the same time, telling
Yeah.
you conflicted stories, conflicting ideas, questionable ideas, or things that look very plausible and with
Mhm.
absolutely no facts, right?
Mhm.
And so I would say, we are in general clouded all the time with that information. And we take so much, right?
Mhm.
That I see many people don't take the time to say or think logically, because logically means that you devise, okay, this happens, right? But they may be A, B, C, D, and E elements that cause that,
Mhm.
right? But right now we go to that. This happened because of only one situation, or only one person caused this situation, or this
Right.
person alone is guilty of it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not logical.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because it feels like to me that there's this, whatever this apparatus is that is controlling all this, feels like we are being led into black and white thinking. And you're right. That is not a smart way to live. Um,
Mhm.
and that's what it seems like, because when I see all the information online about a particular topic or an event, it seems like instantly there becomes this divide of black and white thinking on it. And it's like, well, that can be true, and this also can be true at the same time. Um,
But
so it's
if you think about it, I'm sorry, I was gonna say, if you think about it, to your point,
mhm.
they just don't tell you just this could not only this could be true and this could be true. They inject emotion.
Yeah, the emotion is the thing. Yeah, that's the thing
Yeah,
that gets people. Mhm.
it's the emotional element that
Mhm.
they put into it.
And because you're so fascinated with psychology, I bet you're fascinated with this too, with the propagandizing of Americans, um, because it's psychology. I think some people are waking up to it though, don't you?
I think so. I mean, I guess I would like to think that in
Yeah.
so many different ways. I do think so. I guess, we're trying to learn more,
Hmm.
trying to be smart about it, although only time will tell how that's gonna end. My thing is like, as long as people don't don't self censure,
Oh, you mean be afraid to speak up?
yes, they will be in a better position,
Oh,
or we will continue to be good, because
right. That's
generally
one thing
speaking,
I
the
love about
loudest.
you.
Mhm,
You refuse to be censored. That was like, I remember the last time I talked to you. That's one of the things I
mhm,
loved about you the most is
mhm,
you speak your mind with no shame at all. And you're kind about it, but
mhm.
you will speak no matter what. And I remember, around 2020, 2021, there were a lot of people that were kind of afraid to talk about certain things
Right.
and you never were. And I love that about you. If you've been listening to Defenders Live and something in you knows it's time to go deeper, not just in your training, but in your life, become a paid subscriber of Defenders Live. Each month, we meet for a live group call, having real conversations about physical growth, emotional discipline, and spiritual strength. You'll be part of a growing community of people just like you, committed to becoming true defenders of life and of their families. This isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up, doing the work, and not doing it alone. So go to defenders-live.com and become a paid subscriber and take your next step toward becoming the kind of defender this world desperately needs. Probably my
Oh,
most favorite thing about you,
uh,
Gabby.
Thank you. Well, I lived in a country where you couldn't, or let's put it this way. I was raised in a culture that believed that you couldn't. And
Mm,
so coming to the United States, again, talking about lenses, right, and perspectives, and then learning about truly what the First Amendment is, the
mhm,
Second Amendment is,
mhm.
and you can speak, then I was like, I will never go back there and again.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, there is not easy, but and it's, I think there's power to it. When I was doing my even my bachelor's and my master's, you can imagine, psychology. If you think about a lot of the psychology thing nowadays, whether it's gender and all this
Yeah.
stuff, or when it comes to farms,
Mhm.
there are many things that they would say, oh no, that's not good. But I never um, cover myself saying, oh, something different than who I am. So I would introduce myself as, I am a competitive shooter. I
Mhm.
am, this is who I am. This is what I do. And I
Mhm.
remember some friends that would tell me, oh, don't tell the professors that you do this and you do that. I'm like, sure. And I did that. And even there were some classes talking about gender and sports and stuff like that. I put out my opinions.
Mhm.
It is my opinion, and not only my opinion, because that's the problem that we're getting today. Is everybody
Yeah.
speaks, but we absolutely no basis behind it.
Mhm.
I put my opinions, but also supported with data, research,
Mhm.
and everything, and the reason why I was thinking the way I was thinking. And so I did not get bad grades because of it.
That's good.
Um, but
I
there's a
wondered how that
difference.
was received.
I don't know, but I guess the difference is like, I'm not a. Is this if it was probably easier for me because I'm a grown up woman. I'm not
Yeah.
somebody who just left high school and was
Yeah.
trained to follow the
Mhm.
trends.
Mhm.
And so for me, I think it was fairly easy. Besides, my career was being a firearms instructor. I could have said, I'm just doing this just for doing it because I want to have my bachelor's. I can continue being a firearms instructor and have my career.
Mhm.
The same thing with everything else. I can continue doing nobody's going to take my bachelor's away. Nobody's going to take my master's away.
Yeah.
I can do and what I do, right? But I think that's the difference. I think young people don't have the luxury
Yeah.
because they're having growth and they haven't been out there working and dealing with reality, dealing with the world
Mm-hmm.
to understand how the world really works, for you to
Mm-hmm.
say, like, that's not exactly true because of this, this,
Right.
and this.
I
Having
have
those
seen some
convictions.
really inspirational videos of the younger generation really wisening up, though, and starting to ask
Yeah.
questions and starting to think on their feet better and be able to debate and make logical conclusions. And that is really refreshing to see.
It
So
is.
that is a
It is.
positive.
And we can only hope that that's a majority,
Yeah. Yeah. We
you
really
know?
don't know. And it's hard to tell what the majority is by looking online. You really can't tell
Exactly.
what's
You
what.
cannot tell. What talking about that, which is kind of off topic, but kind of on topic.
That's all right. Go on.
I was in it that, this idea in the conservative world, if you will, that,
Mhm.
you shouldn't go to the universities or just go to a
Oh,
trade job or
yeah.
something like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I went straight to the university, right?
Uh-huh.
And I think you should, if you have a kid that wants to go to university and wants to be a doctor, first make sure that you build that child with strong convictions,
Mhm.
strong morals, and
Mhm.
constantly talk to them,
Mhm.
constantly be talking to them. But this is my thinking, because even if they move away from it, if they were raised with that conviction, they'll get
Mhm.
back to it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I say this is because the ones who make decisions and who wants to really influence laws and uh, things like that are people who has a PhD, are
Mhm.
doctors, are psychologists, are economists. They're not gonna call with all they can be a great professional.
Mhm.
That man could be the great professional
Mhm.
and successful, but they're not gonna call the person who built a probably a plumbing business,
Yeah. Yeah. I see
right?
what you're saying.
Now, you see what I mean? If a
Yeah.
if a kid wants a job like that, great. They can be extremely successful, make money, wonderful. But if you have a kid that wants to go out there and go to university and they have this dream to get upset, and it's yes, like in psychology, conservative psychologists, this is from the books, okay? More left leaning,
Yeah.
we're talking about 75 to 25, something like to 24%.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. We're completely outnumbered. So guess who's gonna influence schools, education, marketing,
Mhm.
movies?
Right.
What is the right thing to say, the right thing to do? So no, we do need those professionals.
You just went right in the trenches, Gabby, is what you did. Like, I'm just gonna get right
Yeah,
in there.
yes, we do. We have to. We have
Yeah.
to.
I never thought of it that way, but that's really inspiring, actually. Hmm.
Yes,
That's a
I
really
do.
good point.
I do believe that wholeheartedly, and I'm living to it. I'm not just saying it.
Yeah, you're living it.
I'm
That's
just
for
living through
sure.
it. Yeah.
Living by example. Um, I wanted to ask you because we had mentioned
Yeah.
earlier about the percentage of women who are
Mhm.
becoming new gun owners, which is really awesome. I'm super excited about that. I was wondering in particular with women and from a coaching standpoint,
Mhm.
is there and I know it's different with everyone, but I just kind of like want to open the doors to this
Mhm.
conversation and see where it goes.
Okay.
What do you see in your coaching with women as a firearms instructor and now with all of this amazing education that you have as being a huge barrier, an internal barrier for them, when they're first getting started or as they're kind of going up through the ranks, maybe they've got a good foundation going, but then they kind of stall out or they hit a plateau. I meet a lot of women who start with a lot of enthusiasm. They get a really
Mhm.
good foundation going. But once they get the fundamentals down really well and it becomes more of a mental game, so to speak, that's for me, it feels like anyway, and I could be wrong, that's when I start to see them lose steam because maybe they are lacking confidence in themselves for whatever reason, or they're not taking more advanced classes because it's uncomfortable for them. So they just kind of stay small, for lack of a better word, and
Mhm.
don't ever really push forward. What is your experience with that? I'm curious.
I mean, as you know, in this world, there can be a 10 different scenarios that we can talk
Yeah.
about because everybody's different. But
Yeah.
as you were talking, there was one word that kept popping in my head,
What?
like this, and fear,
Fear.
fear, inner fears. No fear
Mm-hmm.
to the gun,
Mm-hmm.
fear of failure,
Mm-hmm.
inner fear of the recoil,
Yeah.
fear of realizing that they are not advancing instead of
Mm-hmm.
seeing the opportunity that comes with more and more practice.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of being judged. So I think to me, fear is one of the biggest thing. I was talking to somebody who asked me, "Hey, I'm a new shooter. I'm not good at shooting." And I immediately, when he said that, I thought, okay, now I know where we're coming. Why? Because he said, I'm not good at it. Like, I'm not good at riding bikes. I never ride bikes,
Yeah.
right? I will
Yeah.
never be good at it if I don't do it, period,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Unless you have that thought process, right? Instead of saying, I don't practice enough. Of
Right. You
course,
could have
now
said
I
that.
know, okay, instead of putting like a qualitative, like this is what I am. I'm not good,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so he asked me for an advice for a good shooter. And I said, okay, when you see the gun on the table, what is the first thing that comes to mind? And this person said, I guess fear of anticipating. And I say, okay, fair. But I say, so what happens if you anticipate? What's gonna happen? What's the worst thing that's gonna happen? That instead of the bullseye is gonna be on an A? So what?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so of course it was a quick conversation and because I had to go, but to go a little bit more deep into it, we are not naturally designed to have an explosion in front of our faces for 1-2 feet from our faces. It's not natural.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, our reptile brain, our cerebellum is going to say danger,
Mm-hmm.
get away from that. And that you see people doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to go boom. You see people blinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but that's natural. Okay.
Right.
And so ideally is that the people first become aware of what's going on, aware of their feelings. Like, what do I feel and what do I think about this? Okay. And then once they do that and they ask the question, so what? Am I getting hurt? Like, am I getting hurt? No. Am I in pain? No. So where is this feeling and this thought process coming from? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so once you get to that point, they start realizing, oh, there's absolutely nothing is going to happen, right?
Right.
And then becomes that it's no, it's not like that fix it, but it
Mm-hmm.
comes now. You have the weapon, internal, if you will, weapon to battle those inner fears, um, and so it helps you move forward. It helps you move forward. You don't see things, you don't um, qualify something emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
I have no fear of shooting the bullseye. I either do or I don't,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the target is that thing, the firearms is that thing. They're not going to change. The firearms is not going to change its quality by itself, nor its capability. Is what
Mm-hmm.
it is. But the one
Mm-hmm.
I can change is me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am the one who can press the trigger different. I can see the sights different. I can see the red dot different. I can aim differently. I can do things differently whether for good or for bad. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
the only one who can change and has the power to move that needle
Mm-hmm.
towards the middle or everywhere. So starts with that awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can start focusing on the things that I need to do. And in terms that probably makes it easier is clearing the fog, if you will,
Mm.
right? Fears, concerns,
Mm-hmm.
uh, thinking that I want to hit the bullseye instead of focus on what to do to hit the bullseye. All that in
Right.
my mind is fog.
Right.
It's
Right.
fogging your vision.
Let me ask you a question then. So let's say
Mhm.
somebody's watching this right now and they do have a fear of some kind behind the gun, whatever it may be, but they don't have Gabby Franco standing next to them to ask them questions. Okay. So let's say that they're like, okay, I can become aware of what's going on inside my body and maybe the
Mhm.
thoughts that I'm thinking, right?
Mhm.
I can do that step myself.
Mhm.
But once they have that awareness, what is something they can ask themselves to help become clear on what it is the like deeper root of that is? Do you understand what I'm asking now?
Sure. I would say the question would be, do I want to do this?
Hmm.
Is it something I really want to do or something I'm being pushed to do it by others?
Hmm.
Is it something I'm just doing because it's, everybody does it, all the women have farms or just
Yeah.
something like, of course I want to do this, right?
Okay.
It's like finding your why, right? You
Yeah.
have awareness, you find
Yeah.
the why, it can give you that momentum,
Yeah.
okay? That you're
Yeah.
like realizing either you give up or
Mhm.
you continue,
Mhm.
right?
That's really good.
But that can make the difference. But after that, there are mental performance strategies like breathing techniques, self-talk, how you talk to yourself, what is the messaging, the messages, being aware of how you talk to yourself, right?
Mhm.
And there are different strategies. Acceptance is very
Mm.
important too. Accepting could something happen in the past, could be have been involved firearms in a very negative way, right? So you have to be aware, you have to realize what you want, right?
Yeah,
Truly
you would
you.
think that would be so simple. Yes, you have to know what you want, but how many people have you met that don't really know
Hmm.
or haven't been
Right,
asked the question or never really considered it deeply?
right,
Yeah.
right. Even like the thing is that some often and most people, I'm gonna say most people, I said the big thing now is that every shooting fast, right?
Yeah.
Shooting fast. What you see in
Yeah.
social media, when you see about shooting, it's shooting fast, shooting competition. You don't see people just bullseye. When do you see that? Okay, let me do a real people shooting in the range, taking their time.
Right.
Okay, and so
Mhm.
that's a message that most gun owners get. Is
Right.
it real? I would say no. Vast
Yeah.
majority of people, well, depends if you have a backyard range or something, you can just go plinking. But I would say, at least in metropolitan cities, they're just gonna go into the indoor range. Or
Mhm.
even if you have a backyard range, you're just gonna go trying to go as fast as you can, and you forget the most important things, your fundamentals, being
Mhm.
accurate,
Mhm.
everything, the basis of everything. So
Yeah.
I think that also clouds the steps. It's like we go from zero and I want to go here because that's what I
Mhm.
see in social media.
You're
That's what I'm
right.
supposed to be. That's what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm a realist.
Yeah.
I did Olympic shooting. I did three-gun shooting. I do USPSA. And I'm like, if you just want to go to the range and target shooting, go ahead. Now, you conceal and carry. Make sure that you do have practice your skills and everything. But you need to
Mhm.
know what you want to do and what you want to achieve,
Mhm.
right? Have goals. This is part
Mhm.
also mental performance. What
And
are
know
your
that it's
goals?
a path. It's a path. It's not an instant
Yeah.
teleportation.
Right. Because most people say, like, well, oh, but I'm just shooting slow. I'm like, well, we haven't gotten to this point at 5, 7 yards. I think you need to stay there because you're
Right.
all over the place
So you're saying people
until
are
you move
impatient. They
forward.
want to skip steps. They think they should be improving more quickly than they are, and then that frustrates them maybe and might even make them give up or just think they're not getting it fast enough.
And you know, one thing about shooting sports, or at least in the United States, what I can say is that I'm not gonna say it's a misconception. I don't know if that's the right word or term, but it's almost like you can improve by yourself. There's absolutely almost no sport, no activity that you don't need a coach. I mean, you wanna be a martial artist? Okay, go
Mhm.
ahead, be martial artist on your own and practice on your own. No, you're gonna
Right.
go to an academy and you're gonna be training. You pay monthly
Yeah.
to go and get your belt and get better and get better. You go to golf. Yeah, I guarantee you, you're gonna have some coaches and you have some instruction.
Mhm.
And, and even at the highest level, they have coaches, they have instruction. And so I think in the farms industry, I know it can be expensive, but if you have a good instructor, don't think you know it all. From time to time, you know, regularly get your farms instructor a call so you can
Mhm.
improve.
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree with
and
that.
that's with everything. And I'm gonna just
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
I'm not even teaching farms right now, and I think
Yeah.
that's valuable because it's instrumental
I
in
do want to plug
most,
your
if not all,
website
activities.
before
Sure.
we run out of time because we're running out of time already, Gabby. I can't believe it.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So for those of you that are listening and not watching, Gabby's website is Gabby Franco, GabbyFranco.com. She's also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. That's running down at the bottom ticker. Sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to make sure we only have like
Yes,
5
thank you.
minutes left,
I
and
know.
and I want to make sure that we plug your website so people can follow you because you've had a lot going on the last few years, and I'm really excited about the future for you.
Me too. Me too. I'm very excited. Another thing I haven't mentioned at all, but another thing I want to do with my degree, which I think I'm gonna do it more in the volunteering area or volunteering side. I do that. Is mental performance should be part of the school curriculum.
Oh,
I
that would be
truly, I
amazing.
truly I truly believe children should have a basics in and we don't have to call it mental performance. We can call it
Yeah.
many other names, but children should learn how to manage basic anxiety, like taking a test. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How manage your thoughts. Basic. I think the same way we teach math and language and history and geography for these children to be successful.
Hmm.
Why don't we train their minds, which is the foundation for
Hmm.
everything else? For
Hmm.
everything else. And
Yeah,
so that would be one something I'm working on how to, but I truly believe that should be part of the curriculum
I agree
in
with you.
school.
We have a lot of mental health issues in throughout the country right now, and that could be one step towards helping that and getting to
Right.
kids, getting to them when they're young so they
Yes.
have these skills to be able to, as they get older, to
Can
operate
you
in this world.
imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? We teach children how to breathe in, and when facing a difficult situation, instead of getting into punches or getting into hate, or just
Mhm.
say, okay, let me think about it. Maybe that person is correct. Maybe
Right.
I didn't do that well. How
Yeah.
can I improve that? Right? Let help it. And when you I can go all day, but
It's okay. It's
when
okay.
when you teach people to be more calm, if you think that helps even in logic, you
Mhm.
know, you're not
Mhm.
thinking emotionally anymore, you're calming
Mhm.
that out. You can say, okay, that's okay, I feel this way, but I don't have to act
Right.
upon how I feel.
Right.
So yeah. So I would say
Right,
that's the last
because
thing I want to
when
say.
you're under that much stress, your part of your brain actually gets hijacked and you can't think clearly when you're under that kind of stress. Isn't that a biological thing, Gabby?
I would say so for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. It is.
I was deferring
It
to
is.
you
It
because
should.
you are now the expert on that.
Yes. Well, everybody is different, but I would say for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. And you wouldn't think, I mean, I'm just now learning all this stuff in my 40s. If I would have learned that in my
Mhm.
20s or my teens even, wow, I mean,
Yes.
it's taken me a long time to realize the value of simple things like learning how to breathe.
Right. Our bodies, our minds is designed to, deal with stress. It's like you're stressed, but then it has to come down. We're
Mhm.
not designed to be stress, constantly stress levels with cortisol
Mhm.
going up to the roof. And
Mhm.
so, children sometimes go to school, for us, may be nothing, but for them, it's a lot.
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree with
dealing with
you.
their peers, situation in school, tests, study, homework, it's
Mhm.
a lot. And so
Mhm.
if we don't teach the children to deal with that,
Mhm.
um,
And even just speak up about it. And
yeah,
like when I was a kid, stuff stressed me out. Too bad, so sad. I kept it to myself and dealt with it.
yeah,
There was no adult at home that I could talk to when I got home from school about all the things that happened.
mhm,
There wasn't a place to
right,
do that. So, I
right,
think that could be part of it too. Like having a safe person
yeah.
you could talk to about stuff. So,
Oh, for sure. One of the biggest thing, and when it comes to mental performance, having a support system.
yeah.
It is. But again, who, right? That
Mhm.
that's the other part, because you can have somebody you can talk to about, and then that person may not be the ideal person who gives you the right, the proper
Right.
advice, if you will,
Right.
right? Some people
You're
who
gonna
say,
have to go
well,
in the school and you're gonna have to train the counselors, Gabby.
well, let's put it this way. We need to accept as parents, because I'm a parent, that we are not taught how to be parents. And it's not like people need to
Yeah.
teach you,
Mhm.
if you will, to how to raise your children. But I
Mhm.
think every parent should take some psychology classes that help them improve.
Mhm.
Not only their children, I learned a lot when I was doing my bachelor's degree, and I was learning all these, techniques, and I was like using my child as a guinea pig. I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
I was wondering how
let's
that
try.
changed your
Yes,
relationship.
I was like, let's try this out. And sure enough, he would change
Really?
his perspective just by flipping the way I phrased something. So, for example, instead of telling the kid, if you do this, I'm not gonna give you that, right? That's typical.
Mhm.
Hey, if you keep doing that, I'm gonna take your PlayStation, your Nintendo,
Mhm.
right? Now, if you phrase it differently, hey, do you want some 10 extra minutes a day? Yes, of course I do. Okay. Well, do me a favor. Every day, I need your homework to be done at this time. I You'll see a change. Is We want the same results, but it's the way we flip how we're presenting the
Wow.
idea to the child. And so you are not
That's
using
what
as a
adults do,
punish,
right?
because you're not using punishment, you're using reward.
Ah.
Right? I want you to reward me, right? You're gonna give me $5, right? You're gonna give me, of course, sure. I want those $5. What do I need to do, right?
Hmm.
But if and I get it. As parents, sometimes it's difficult to completely avoid punishment.
Mhm.
But if you're aware of it, and you see
Mhm.
the first one time, because you said it, and it didn't work right away, but you're aware of it, you then can flip the coin and try to rephrase. Hey, I've done it too. I'm human. Sometimes I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, what about this? And
Oh
sure
my
enough,
god.
it works. It works every time. Reward, and there's different type of punishment, if you will, but because sometimes things happen in the moment, right? And you have
Yeah.
to take things, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but So yeah, so it's just I think children and parents,
Yeah.
parents
Yeah, it
more,
should
I
start at
think.
home, just like when you were talking about the foundation you need to build in your children so that when they do go out into the world or they decide to go to a university or whatever, they will come back to that foundation that was built
Yes.
when we were young.
Oh, for sure. For
Mhm.
sure.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like we just skimmed the surface of where we could have gone, Gabby,
Oh, yes, I
but
know.
I know you have somewhere you need to be and I have somewhere I need to be, so we'll wrap it up for tonight. Are there any like parting thoughts or is there anything we didn't even touch on that you were kind of hoping we would, or what were you thinking there?
No, I think we
No?
did cover everything. I would say, people when they go to my website, they see that most of my work now is mental performance.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my focus more than firearms instructor. Although, I have clients who are shooters,
Yeah.
and
Makes sense.
it's great because I can help them because I understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
Also, for people to see psychology and mental performance or sports and performance psychology a little bit different. Um, and don't be afraid of reaching out and asking questions. At the same time, I don't only work with, like I said earlier, not only work with athletes, I work also with CEOs. This is a field that can work with any performer. Could be a musician, could be a public speaking, anything that becomes that have to do with performance, that
Yeah.
manage anxiety, goal setting, understanding how your mind, or helping you understand how what your thought process and how you're thinking, and maybe reframe some thoughts or ideas. So that's what I'm focusing on right now.
You know what I have noticed the most out of everything on this interview is even when you just very first got on the call
Yeah.
before we started, you cannot stop smiling, and I love it. I love to see it.
Oh.
You are genuinely excited about talking about this, and I'm just so happy that have you set a goal, that you achieve those goals, that you are just like you just go out into the world and you just conquer, Gabby Franco, and I just love that about you. You're an inspiration to many people.
Thank you. I graduated from Venezuela in 1997, my high
Good for you.
school.
Yeah.
I did. And I didn't go to school in the United States whatsoever. And in 2018, late 2018, in 2018, I said, I'm going to go back to the university because I'm an adult. And I was just speaking very broken English. I couldn't put sentences correctly. I was very hesitant to talk. And I said, I'm going to go back to school. In 2019, I went there and I told my advisor, I said, I'm going to graduate 4.0. And he's like, whoa, that's like very good, like a high goal right there. And I graduated in the honors program with 3.98. Not
Mm,
4.0, 3.98.
it's pretty
But
damn
this is
close.
one, if anything can inspire you in this conversation with this, it took me a good 2 or 2.5 years for my brain, 2 to 2.5 years, I kid you not, for my brain to really write fluently.
Oh, wow.
Like it would take me a week to put thoughts together, to write. This is because this is like scientific writing, which makes it worse, right? Everything has to be factual, everything has to be supported, all the ideas, especially ideas or statements of facts. I cannot say something without supporting that idea. And so one day, this is like 2 years or 2 years and a half, I'm writing and I call my husband. He kind of said, I call him, he's like, what's going on? I said, I am actually writing. Like, I'm not overthinking. Like, my brain is like, I noticed when my brain literally
Oh,
unleashed. One
wow.
day I woke up and my brain just, I was just typing. I could write, I could just express myself in writing like I'm talking right now without overthinking or
Wow.
trying to translate the English and Spanish and all that stuff. So it takes time for your body to adapt to something. but it can happen. The brain is malleable. And, and then I decided to do my master's. I'm potentially PhD. I don't know yet, but we'll see.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So, don't be afraid to changes. Just be open to the possibility, to the opportunity to see something, to learn something.
So don't assume that anything is impossible, because
Oh yeah, for
that's
sure.
one of those things of getting in your own way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We get ourselves in our own way.
Mm-hmm. I hear you, girl.
Like
I hear
sometimes
you.
we are the roadblock. Sometimes we get in there. We
Mhm.
are the roadblock.
Well, you have just unleashed, unleashed in a beautiful way. Like, I see so much joy and pride that is so well deserved. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm so honored that you decided to come back 3 years later and
Of course.
update me. Yeah. So I guess maybe I'll reach out in another few years, see what you're up to.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Maybe not 3. Let's make it once a year, maybe.
Okay. If you would do that, I would love it.
At least.
Yeah. We could deep dive on a topic then. We would have the time.
There you go.
Thank you, Gabby.
Of course, my